the disclosure. I'm an associate member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA SIPC. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable in light of your own financial condition. And all my trades are placed through T3 Trading Group. Position disclosure is the same. I am holding a little bit of Apple into the report here. I did size down into the close, so I'm only gambling with a little bit, with a decent profit cushion on it. But it is still gambling all the same, because when you hold stock into an earnings report, you are gambling. Where's our Qs now? Yeah, we're down a few bucks. This today was crazy. Look at that chart. And now we're down like $4 or whatever from the closing print off this Amazon report. Amazon getting smoked. It's down 5% now from yesterday's close. It's what I get to see here. I don't know the percentage from today's close because it was up during the day, obviously. Amazon, it looked like, I know Pat said on the radio that it looks like Amazon beat on everything. But it looked like Pat said they missed on everything, but it looked like they beat on cloud, no? Which to me, that's the most important metric. So, and then I see Josh here saying that a majority of the Amazon loss is coming from the Rivian investment. So yeah, maybe there's a hope that this isn't the end of the world. I don't really have an interest in investing in Amazon. I want to invest in AWS. That's the company I want. I think that this is a company that would be better off being broken up because the sum of the parts is probably worth more than the whole. Yeah, guidance is trash though. Yeah, guidance is trash. With that said, I'm looking at this Roku. Roku looks like it missed on their guidance and is still trading up. Looks like it missed like a little bit on guidance, but it's trading up right now from what I think I saw. Yeah, they did mention inflation worries, which I'm pretty sure every company is mentioning inflation in their earnings report this season. Yeah, so I am looking at this Roku, AWS, Robert, Amazon Web Services, Cloud, not their silly little retail business. What do they sell like books or something, right? Yeah, this Roku is interesting that it's holding in if there is a miss on guidance, if I read that properly, because we're seeing some of these growth stocks hold up better on missing guidance numbers, which previously they were just destroying it. With that said, I did not look at all the Robinhood numbers, but Robinhood's getting smoked, Intel's getting smoked. They almost seems like the opposite of yesterday. Yesterday was like almost every single name I typed up, with the exception of Invisalign and the Ruthless Teladoc. It seemed like outside of those two, almost everything was trading up after hours, and today it seems like almost everything is trading down that I've seen so far. But we got Apple in 15 minutes, so I'm not doing a full afternoon meeting today. Shutting myself down by 4:30 to be able to focus on Apple and these numbers. Maybe I'll stay on the radio here a little bit, but I will not be able to share my level 2 like I sometimes do on Apple Day. Because I have a position, and it would be a compliance violation if everyone got to see that position. So we'll see here. But immediately our NASDAQ is trading down. SPYs are trading down from where we closed. We'll see. Guys, today was just, today was exhausting, honestly. Today was so crazy. This market was so crazy today. First of all, just to recap things, in the morning meeting, we discussed a couple scenarios here, and I really said my game plan on Apple is to pray. I'm paying attention. I always pay attention to that measured move. If I'm holding stock on earnings, even if I'm not holding stock on earnings, I'm always paying attention to that measured move. I think Pat said that the measured move was $8 or so here. So I'm looking at like 170 on the upside and 155 on the downside broadly as areas that I'm going to pay attention to on the move. But you know, we totally thanks Mike, I agree with that. But you know, obviously sometimes just look at Netflix, they overshoot that measured move if it's a ruthlessly bad or incredibly good report. So you've seen that as well. But it is impressive how often these earnings companies respect that measured options move. So Apple here is already down $2 since it closed because of Amazon, which is just crazy. But yeah, broadly I'm looking at like 155 on the downside and like upper 160s, 170 on the upside. But I'll be paying attention to the tape, which is always the first thing that you're trying to read here after hours with any of these stocks to get a thought process on it. Anyway, like I was saying, morning meeting today, we were having a big gap up because of Facebook's earnings, and Facebook held in okay. 210 was the big upside level that we talked about. 200 I thought was going to be the downside level. That downside level did not hold very well, but it did give a nice little 15-minute correction before bouncing almost all the way back to that 210. So coming into today, going back to the market, because of Facebook, we're having a large common gap to the upside, just about to the ADMA on your SPYs and your Qs. IWM was a little bit weaker. And, like I said, I could really see the market move in either direction. Because on the one hand, the technicals here are about as bearish as they can be, though we are still holding a major support level. But it's like the 5th time that major support level has been tested, and every time it gets tested, there's a higher probability of a breakdown. So the technicals here are pretty much all bearish. We could totally work our way to the downside. We could totally just fill this common gap. As a matter of fact, technically that's what should happen. In a weak market, you have a common gap up into the ADMA. That's a recipe to sell. The flip side of that was we understand kind of where market dynamics are with sentiment and positioning, and that Facebook, and this is one of the really notable things here, and I think we're actually seeing this with Roku right now also. I've got to look more into Roku, the report. But we're starting to see with some of these companies like Facebook, like Roku, that are so beaten up into their earnings report that their numbers are just okay, and the stock is rallying on it, particularly Facebook. We talked about it in the afternoon meeting yesterday. It was like the negative energy towards the stock. You could just like feel it coming off your screen going into that report. So it was easy for this thing to be able to rally on, not the most fantastic report in the world, but not a complete and utter disaster either. So going back to the market here, maybe that could give a relief to sentiment broadly, and we know positioning is under-positioned, so you could get one of those really sharp bear market rallies coming into today. And I know technically it shouldn't happen that way, and on a small time frame we always need to pay attention to how the market satisfies its upside extension, but pre-market I was kind of feeling like that upside thing could work out. Though what I said in the morning meeting was this could happen or this could happen. I don't have conviction, which was definitely the truth. So what we need to see in these large gap ups is you need to see the small time frame moving averages catch up to price. And that can happen through time, that would be the best thing, or it could happen through price and you get a high pivot as this catches up and then you get continuation. That's what you want to see. And what I keep talking about, and I don't have a ton of time here, what I keep talking about though is the importance of this IWM. This IWM has just been the leading index. We saw it yesterday. Yesterday you had SPYs trying to get above 420, Qs trying to get above 320, which are key levels. They started to look okay in certain spots, but this IWM just could never clear up. It was just gross. It's been the leader. So same thing this morning. I'm like, okay, first bar of the day here with the SPYs and the Qs. All right, fine, we pull back. It's a huge gap up. It's not the end of the world. It is what it is. I ideally really wanted to see these moving averages catch up and the market make a higher level pivot, not fully fill its gap, and then go. But when I was watching this IWM price action here, when this thing filled its, look at this. This is so bad, man. This first hour of price action in the IWM is just so gross. And I'm looking at this here, even as it filled its gap, even as it's getting below these moving averages, as it's closing with this negative Maribozu, it's not even attempting to bounce. Finally, you get a little baby attempted to bounce on super low volume at 950 that immediately breaks. And I'm just saying to myself, there's no way these SPYs and Qs are going to be able to hold up, no matter how good they're trying to look, despite Facebook, despite everything else, not with the IWM trading this way. And we just looked, I was disappointed. We looked really bad here as we were making lows. And this Russell, by the way, lost its major support now, whereas the Qs and the IWM had not really fully. I guess the Qs got a little bit below it, but they were snapping back above. And then we just flipped on a dime here. I called out this low give myself, I'm gonna give myself a little bit of credit, and then I'm gonna take away the credit. I called out this low to the team here like a champion. Off this bar here, as this hammer got put in, even as it was low volume, it was really because of the degree of downside extension here on the IWM as this candle came in, even as you didn't have the volume confirmation. It's just that it's 1040 and we're this extended on a 5-minute, and we just went straight from almost 190 in the IWM straight down to 180. It's a $5 move in the CTF. It's a huge percentage move in an hour for the Russell 2000. It's sick. So I saw this and I called it out very early. You could have gotten in this thing for, honestly, 30 cents risk, 25 cents risk. So kind of called that out there as a long, really just looking for a retracement. And I called it out for all three indices because I was really reading the IWM as, again, our leader, but the SPYs and the Qs are where the relative strength is. So you could have done the IWM because that's what you need to be able to bounce here in order for things to work, but the SPYs and the Qs are where the relative strength is, so you almost would have been better off trading the SPYs or the Qs long off of this candle, but the thought process is based on the IWM, and honestly, all I was looking for was a 15-minute correction. I was calling out a move to 186, so this is where I'll take the credit away from myself a little bit. But to then give the credit back to myself, I also do always talk about trimming and trailing. In a counter trend trade like this, you want to be a little bit less aggressive on the trail and more aggressive on just putting money in your pocket because counter trend trades usually fail. But the SPYs, they got back above 420 and the Qs got back above 320, which, okay, that's great, but I don't care too much if the IWM can't participate. And then I noticed kind of in here in this consolidation that as the SPYs and Qs actually pulled back a little bit, I felt that this IWM held in okay. I wasn't expecting this to occur. I don't think it was very difficult to expect that to occur. But this goes back to what we discussed almost originally about kind of market dynamics right now. And then Pat was mentioning that Goldman said that there was a huge rebalance coming from sovereign wealth funds or whatever into the end of the month, which is also something to be expected, and that's what created the squeeze into the end of March, which was also an end of quarter rebalance that's more powerful than an end of month rebalance, and then we just totally lifted off almost in the way that I kind of thought we could have when I was doing my original analysis here this morning, but I don't know if anything I'm talking about matters, because now we got Amazon and Apple. And Amazon here is not off to a good start. Bouncing back a little bit. 3.5% now from yesterday's close, so even more than that from today's close. Bouncing back a little bit. Let's see. I'm still slightly hopeful that this Amazon won't be down 15% tomorrow, because I didn't think those numbers were that bad. The guidance wasn't good, but they beat on AWS, so we'll see. We'll see. And now we've got Apple in 5 minutes. So that's it. That's all I really wanted to do today, was like just a pretty basic kind of recap for you guys, because I do want to focus in on Apple, which I'll stay on the radio for now with it. But I got 5 minutes here. If anybody's got a quick question that could use a short answer off of today's price action, you're happy to try to take a look at it. But for the most part, I'm not really going to be doing a Q&A today, just because of Apple. Yeah, this AG chart is so crazy, dude. This whole market is so nuts. Will Apple be up or down? So, it's always a gamble, it's always a guess. But if I had to guess coming into the reports, I was going to say Amazon down and Apple up. Almost similar to Microsoft up and Google down. I just think, that Amazon foretold a slowing of their business with that random stock split that they announced just randomly one day. That's not how it's done. And everyone was looking forward to Amazon stock split. And they didn't do it at any quarterly report or anything like that. It just was bizarre. So to me, it almost seemed like a exactly, Justin. Exactly. So to me, it almost seemed like a desperation play. Almost the way, very similar, honestly, to Facebook changing its name to Meta. That's a pure desperation play. Slowdown in our business is coming, so let's change the name of the company. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Apple has a muted move though. What Gabriel's kind of saying. Is Apple that good? So I've been thinking about Apple with China. So first of all, it sounds like Foxconn has continued to mainly be able to operate, which is obviously a good thing. And I don't know, how were Apple sales affected in America when we were locked down? I feel like it doesn't necessarily hurt them. You know, you're locked up in your apartment for a month. You want an iPad. You want a new iPhone. It's all you got. So, and honestly, the China sales aspect of Apple's report has become increasingly important. They're the number one smartphone seller in China again. Did Apple block Russia from its products? I'm sure it did. Virtual reality meta goggles. Oh, wow. 8-week delivery for Apple laptop. Let's get this chart ready with our after hours action here. Apple all over the place after hours. Yeah. Well, the services is an important one because that's really where the multiple increases come from. Which honestly, the multiple increases doubled the price. If Apple was trading at the old multiples, it would be a $80 stock. Roku, trying to get above 100. It's so funny that I'm rooting for this company now. I'm just rooting for the whole market, man. I'm just rooting for everybody to beat. The market needs it. I've been such a hater on Roku forever. And now I'm like, yeah, go Roku. All right, we got 1 minute. Yeah, Mike. Well, that's it's blown my mind on Roku that they haven't been able to come up with a good competitor for it because it just seems like the easiest thing. But then you look at like the Amazon Fire Stick or the Google Chromecast, and it's just way more complicated to be able to use. Yeah, Amazon into the aftermarket ADMA. Keys are still down. All right, here, 30 seconds. Where's Pat? Pat, you got the numbers ready for me, buddy? It was Steve Jobs. All right, 5 seconds here. Up. Initial reactions up. 165. 166. I just sold some right there. Sold some right there. Apple EPS 152, 143, a solid beat. I sold some more in front of 170. Right there, real quick at 170. We know 170 is really important. 169.99. That's I got that. All right. EPS 152, 142. Revenue beat. Boosting the dividend. Let's go. Oh shoot. I want to see a buyback increase on this also. Yeah, there we go. That was expected, though. Service revenue is also a beat. Looks like they just beaten and beaten and beaten. Give it to me. I wonder if I can throw this chart up here. Down a little bit. So we know 170, right? We know 170 is a key level. It's been a key level. It's been a key daily level. Not surprised to see that exact high. Wearable. We see any guidance numbers at all? This is so. These numbers are so impressive. I'm not sure 100% on that, Robert G. Should have called that out. That area down there, that 166 held really well. 166 held really well. So that's the first important downside tape spot I've seen in the pullback. They're selling here at 170 though. Somebody's dumping. It broke. Yeah, 166 on the downside. I don't want to see break. Yeah, I know. I think that's allowed. I think. Yeah, 167's coming in with a seller. I don't like it. I don't like this tape action. I feel like this 166 might get lost if they can't break this seller. I'm surprised that it's selling this heavy here, but it did have a huge move into the report today. And wasn't the 170 the options move also that we talked about? I'm not surprised on that 170. It was a good sale I had up there. Yeah, it's 167, 166.90's dumping stock now. It's just a lot of selling coming in on the tape. Broke it. They broke it. I don't want to see that seller slam it back down again. Like sometimes they lift, let everyone buy, and then slam it right back down to be able to sell a lot of stock all at once. I don't want to see that. Yeah, they just crushed every number. No, it's not trading super well right now. It's gotten really tight. What Q's doing? Clear up. Thank you. Little 50K bid came in at 167. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, for sure, Pat. Those numbers are juicy. Apple saving the market once again. What are the Qs doing? Are we all the way back to 328 yet? No, we're not. Amazon is made a little pivot there off the after hours ADMA on the 5. I'd like to see that 167 hold now as some intraday support here. Fit that 50K bids there. I'll see if they take them out or not. It's still kind of heavy. 50K they just wrecked that 50K. 50K doesn't necessarily mean a lot, but it was the biggest order we've seen coming in the market. Now we're retesting that 166 that I don't want to see get lost. There wasn't fantastic follow through on the upside on the break of that 167, was there? And that's an interesting comment. That last comment almost sounds bullish for the entire market. Supply constraints significantly lower in January through March quarter than the December period. 167 selling again. I hate that. Cleared it. No follow through. $166 still held for now. I think it didn't break like to the penny there again. Kathy has said in the past that she holds Apple as like a cash investment, I think. Roku pulled back a little bit. Roku's all over the place. I'm rooting for you, Roku. Can't believe I'm saying it, but I'm rooting for you. I really want these Qs back up at 328. What's Amazon doing? Amazon is not trading well here. Yeah, Sean, but Netflix was down like 30-something%. Amazon's down 5%, and it's being countered by Apple being up 6%. Yeah, it's kind of weird that ARC isn't doing better. Here after hours. What else is she in? Zoom. Zoom is such trash can stock too. Yeah, Apple is cooking an inside 5. I got them wacky tails coming in on the chart that just make it so that the chart's really hard to read. But we know our important spots here. More immediately, I'd say 166 on the downside still has to hold. And then on the near-term upside, this 167.50 is selling right in my face right now. So they're 167.50 to 168 is kind of resistance 1, and then 170 is really resistance 2 for Apple after hours. It's important to note these on these very liquid after hours stocks. Like Apple right now is trading more volume than it typically does in a regular 5-minute during market hours. So these levels that the stock creates after hours on days like today are actually really important the next day. For now, with Apple, 166 on the downside, it is post-earnings support. And on the upside right now, 167.50 to 168 is resistance 1, and 170 is resistance 2. 170 is also a solid daily level. Wow. Yeah, thanks for that data there, Justin. Tell her to buy more. I don't care. I don't care who's buying it. Someone needs to buy it. She, though, doesn't give a crapola about price, though. I mean, she was buying Path. And she's on this path the whole way down. She was buying this thing, like, I kept looking at this thing up at these prices when she was buying it in the 70s, mid-70s, like a boatload. And like, oh, I'm interested. But there's no signal. It seems expensive. And now she's like averaging down at 23, and I'm just starting to really actually buy this thing for the first time in this area. 168's the high of the inside in Apple. Yeah, we saw that in the tape, I think. And 167.50 last I saw was just having a lot of tape, a lot of selling in the tape. Real refreshing seller there. Apple's going to give guidance on this call. Interesting. They've been not. Apple hasn't given guidance since COVID. So we could get a whole nother move here. Unfortunately, Josh, I gotta do this silly meeting with you in a few minutes. We'll make it a quick one today. The call is usually at 5, I believe, for Apple. Maybe someone can confirm. Yeah. Price action Apple pretty tight here. 167.25 buying on ARCA. Okay, that's new. See if they can break that seller. You got 167.25 buying on ARCA, 167.50 selling on ARCA. The seller broke and slammed, which I always hate that. It means the guy's very real. And now my quarter buyer's gone. Ooh. See? The same principles apply on every time frame, even in a time frame like the tape. You just had a false break of that 167.50. The market thought that 167.50 seller broke. People upticked on that break. Seller came right back, slammed it down, and now we're lower. Still above 166, but lower. It's not Pat, it's Rowan. Come on, Josh. We know. Was Airbnb after hours today, too? Doesn't look like it. For some reason I thought it was. Need this 166 to hold here. I'm hungry. Might have to go out and treat myself to a rainbow trout with this Apple money if it keeps holding up. I've never been a huge fish eater, but they got this rainbow trout at the restaurant down the street here in town. So good. Haha, yeah, the Huckleberry Shake. I've been trying not to eat those though, Rich. 166.75 holding a little bit. No, they don't, but I think he could. Yeah. I don't know what they put on that rainbow trout that they make that makes it so good. Have that with a little local beer. I'm going to be heading back to New York in just about a week for the summer. Got to enjoy it while I can. All right, so 167.50 area is still where that seller has been. Ski season's over, Robert. Just about, at least. I got. They're trying to convince me to drive down to Salt Lake tomorrow to ski, but I don't think I'm gonna do it. Ski snowbird again, which last weekend was awesome. Just an insane amount of powder. You're gonna be skiing there Saturday and Sunday at Snowbird? Oh wow. Well, I'll let you know if I head down there. I'm thinking that I won't. Last weekend was ridiculous. I just don't feel like doing the drive again, and I got stuff I gotta do here before I fly back to New York. Well, this Apple's really slowed down. I think that we're waiting for oh dude, it was sick. So Snowbird on Saturday, and I'll just talk about this in front of everybody who's watching. Snowbird on Saturday was a disaster kind of to get to the mountain. It was because it snowed so much. Like we got up there all right, but then when we got up there, it snowed so much that they were doing avalanche control. So they had all the lifts closed down, and then they got the Godzoom lift open. But they said that they were gonna get oh man, what's the name of that other one? That other main one that kind of goes to the top. They said that they were going to get that open within the next hour, but there was a 2-hour line to be able to get on the only lift that was open. So I was like, well, I'll just wait on this one. Yeah, Peruvian. So they said, yeah, nah, trim's done for the season. They said the Peruvian was going to be open in an hour. 166 getting tested again. It broke like butter. That's not a good sign. This is not trading well here. They said Peruvian was going to be open within an hour, and Godzoom was a 2-hour lift line because it was the only thing that was open, and it was a powder day. So I was like, I'll just wait on this Peruvian. So I waited on Peruvian for an hour, and then they said, actually, we might not be able to get this open at all. So then I went over and waited on the long lift line. So I got there at 8:30 and didn't get my first run in until noon, which was kind of a disaster. And I was just drinking the whole morning, which is something I don't typically do. I'm not like a morning ski drinker, but there was nothing else to do except sit in all the wonderful powder that I couldn't ski. So I was like 8 or 9 deep, I think, by the time I got up to the top of the mountain for my first run. And then it was kind of heaven. And then they eventually got Peruvian open at 2. 60K offer just came in at 165.50. Thing's very heavy. This is not trading well for those numbers. I had a big move into it. That's what happens in guidance. But anyway, then it was just an insanely awesome day. And then Sunday was awesome also because they hadn't gotten enough of the mountain open. There were still tons of fresh powder spots. That whole circ area there at Snowbird got some gnarly runs on it. I'm hitting a few of those tighter chutes that come down off of that. And I climbed up Baldy over there, and I freaking fell in the powder. And my ski, well, actually what happened was under the powder, my ski hit a root and trapped it. And I went flying head over heels, almost into a tree well. And then my ski, I was hiking up and down in the powder for 20 minutes looking for my ski, which was kind of ruthless, and then I eventually found it. Ugh, this is no good here, this price action. All right, well, anyway, I am going to drop off. We got to wait. I got a meeting at 5 o'clock that I have to jump into, and right now this price action, I don't like that this thing lost this 166. It's got to recapture it. But I think that we need to see what happens on the conference call. It had a big move into it. I'm a little bit concerned about tomorrow now, because Apple's not trading as well as it should, and this Amazon is down. It's working its way back down again. So we look like we're set for a gap down tomorrow, despite those sick-looking numbers from Apple. Yeah, Qs are back down to this 324. Qs are almost back down to where they were before Apple even reported. This is not great. Not great price action. But anyway, guys, Apple Day is always a fun day. We change it up a little bit here for the afternoon meeting, so I hope everyone was able to at least kind of learn something or had some fun watching along. So I'm going to end the meeting here, and I'll see everyone tomorrow where we'll assess as best we can this information and how we gap. So have a good night, everybody.